So I feel like my dad, like, introduced Grant to my life as like a mentor for after he was gone.
Got it.
So through me finding Grant Cardone and just watching videos on YouTube and Facebook and whatnot, I found a podcast called The Mindset Mentor by Rob Dyle. And that's what changed my life, is that podcast.
Yeah.
Because he's excellent at teaching you how to improve your mindset.
Yeah.
And it all starts with you. Everything happens because of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Ability Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. I've been looking forward to this episode for a while. I have Utkash. I knew I was going to start on that one. With me today, he is amazing, and I can't wait for him to share his story and tell you what he does. All right, man. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction, Nick. I'm looking forward to this conversation. And you pronounced my name beautifully, so you were apt. And with the international audience that I've had Utkarsh and Utkarsh and whatever names that they could. And I always appreciate that, because this name, Utkarsh, what it means, Nick, is to progress. And so in this episode, what we hope our listeners will be able to go through is some amount of progress. And as we were just speaking about this, Nick, I'm from the future. I'm here in Melbourne, Australia. You're on your Tuesday. I'm on my Wednesday. And I know the numbers of the lottery ticket. So if folks hang out with us for the next 30 odd minutes, we'll give them the lottery ticket numbers, and we'll tell them what this word funambulist, another word that I've always stuttered on. So this word funambulist, what does it mean? In terms of my introduction, been on this planet for 39 years, Nick. Have gone from being a physical therapist to a videographer and editor to sales and operations to now a coach, content creator, TEDx speaker, and author. I have 2 boys and 1 wife. The boys are 13 and 10. I find joy in working with my wife and raising them. That to me is like the biggest responsibility I have. And then I love to help people live life to their fullest potential. And so when you and I connected on being on this podcast, I think the message resonates very strongly with me that this human life is really precious. Let's make the most of it.
Amazing. Me and you, we have the same goals, help people live a better life. So that is absolutely incredible. So how do you like to spend most of your time?
Yeah. So I'm someone who really enjoys monotony, Nick. I have a very set pattern for my existence. It all stays on the calendar. So that's one thing that I'm going to recommend to folks, that if you want to really structure your life and really see how you're spending your time, putting it all on the calendar really helps. What I really enjoy is coaching people. So I do a lot of one-on-one sessions, Nick, with folks where I help them move forward in their life. And that could be around going through a mental health challenge. That could be around going through a career change challenge, or that could be around just like, how do I become a better manager or a better leader? And all those conversations unfold in the coaching that I do. My coaching is mostly like, what I'm going to help you through is build a life for yourself. Because who am I to tell you that that Nick or so this is how you should live? And so the coaching is never going to be advisory or counseling or telling you what to do, but it's going to be more explorative. So I spend a lot of my day in coaching people. Then I enjoy reading a lot, Nick. I'm always surrounded by books. So I love reading, and I love putting those lessons that I learn through them into practice. So my work becomes like a strong foundational place for me to just enjoy myself, and I find real joy from that experience. And then the rest of the day is devoted to my beautiful kids and wife and family. I spend a lot of time playing around with my kids. Love to have our basketball games and table tennis, and then have conversations and cook with my wife, so that we can just nourish the family that we are raising together. So that's how my days typically spent.
amazing. Sounds like a great way to spend your day, and I agree with you 100%. Fill up your calendar with everything that you need to get done. You know, I tell my family, my friends, like, hey, if it's not on the calendar, I'm not gonna do it. So like, if you want me to do something with you, you gotta tell me ahead of time so I can get it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that time slot might be full already because I structure my day a half hour at a time all day long, and it makes you way more productive
Yeah.
than if you just have open space on your calendar.
Yeah.
If you have open space on your calendar, well, then you're going to do activities that aren't going to get you closer to your goal. So yeah, I agree. Fill
That's
your
very true.
calendar, yeah, and just make sure that you're doing the tasks that you need to get done.
Absolutely. And what you're saying is very apt, Nick. And this is something that if you ask me, Utkash, what did you do 2 years ago on July 7th, 2022? I can look at my calendar and tell you the exact thing, because from my sleep time to my going to the gym to my meditation to my coach, everything is out there on the calendar. And what I also do, Nick, and maybe folks would find value in it, is to color code the calendar. So all my coaching and work calls are typically blue. Whenever I'm using time for myself, that's in a beautiful red so that it shows up. I've grayed out my time to sleep as well, Nick, so that because my link to my calendar is out there in the world, and I don't want someone to put a call for like 1 a.m. at night and then not be there. And so block those times so that that's inaccessible to folks. So always helps to structure your life and put it on some kind of a tool. It's like Nick, if you're like 200 pounds and you're trying to lose weight or get fitter, you would want to measure those things, right? Why do we not do the same thing with our time? We have these 24 hours, such beautiful 24 hours that we're given every morning. And then at the end of the day, that balance kind of gets wiped out. So why not be very intentional about the 24 hours that we have?
Yep, I agree. I agree, and yeah, I have the same thing. You know, my booking link is out there, so I have to make sure that I block off the times where I'm sleeping or where I need to eat. You know, sometimes I gotta block off time to eat because it's like I had it happen a while back where it was like a whole 2 weeks when I first got my booking link going. I was like, oh, I didn't block off time to eat. So I literally didn't eat all day until after all the calls were done. And then I was like, all right, I finally can eat. So yeah, now I've learned I need to block off time for myself.
Good on you.
I also do color coding. So everything has its specific colors. You know, if it's time for me, like eating or having fun with friends or relaxing, that's always purple. I love the color purple, so I always do that in purple. And then I got different colors for everything. So yeah, it's
beautiful,
really awesome, and it helps a ton. So what other piece of advice would you like to give the audience?
Absolutely. So very recently, Nick, I spoke at a TEDx stage, and I'd love for folks to find me on YouTube, and they can look at the TEDx talk. You know, I was talking to you about this word funambulist, on which I always stutter. It's a very long word. It's FUNAMBULIST. And the speaker coach who kind of helped me prepare for the TEDx, he said, Utkash, you could break this word into two pieces, the fun and the ambulist. And so if you're someone who can find fun in ambulation, that makes you a funambulist. And now what that means really, Nick, is the word itself means a tightrope walker. If you've seen in a circus or somewhere where there are two poles and then there's a tightrope between those two poles and someone walks that tightrope. What I truly believe that each one of us, Nick, you and me and thousands who are going to listen to this podcast, hopefully, and millions who are going to then do beautiful things because of it. We're all walking a tightrope, the tightrope of life. And all we got to do through that journey is to balance it out. We cannot be working too much and then suffering because we're not taking care of our health. We cannot be spending all the time with our family and not focusing on work. We cannot be not spending time on ourselves and spending time on only others. And so it's a fine balance, and it's a tightrope that each one of us are walking. And to get us through that tightrope, we need some kind of an anchor. So I would really advise listeners to find a way to build that anchor for themselves, whatever that might be. Whatever fills your cup, go do that thing, because that's going to help you build a life that you can be really proud of and be the funambulist that you should be as you walk this tightrope of life.
I love that. And that's actually a word that I've never heard before. So yeah, I love it. That's amazing. And I agree, because like we need to, I don't know if I want to call it work-life balance, but we do need to have time for ourselves, our family, our friends, because if you just work constantly, you're missing out on the joys of life. And, I'm one that I like to work. I do. And I quickly learned that if you work for 14 to 16 hours a day, eventually it catches up and it hits you like a rock. Yeah. And you lose momentum, you lose your ambition, you just don't want to do anything. Yeah. So I went through that, and it's very hard to dig yourself out of that and get back on track. But now that I'm back on track, I schedule time for myself. I schedule time to relax. I schedule time to go with my family. Yeah. I schedule time for my friends. Yeah. I make sure I do all that now, because before it was just work all day, go to sleep, get up, do it again. And that's no way to live. And I know a lot of people do it, and a lot of people say, hustle when you're young. It's like, yeah, well, we also go enjoy our lives, because tomorrow is never a promise. Yeah. So make sure you also enjoy the now.
Absolutely. And the great thing about this, Nick, what you're saying is, I spoke about giving our viewers the lottery ticket numbers, right? I was just looking at that number, but the bloody number changed. And that's the amazing thing about the future, right? That I can give you the number right now, and you can go and bet $1 million on it, and maybe you'll make 10x out of it. But the numbers keep changing, because future is something that's a man-made concept. It's out there in the distant, and we can all hope that we live 120 years and do beautiful things on this planet. But how can we be sure that we're going to live 120 years? Because we don't even know what's going to happen in the next moment. And so this other idea that I've spoke about it on the TEDx stage as well, but I want to give it out to our listeners today, is that have a view on the future, but not to worry too much about the future. Because all you got is this present moment, this conversation between Nick and Utkarsh. That's all I got. And if I get to live the next 30 minutes and then beyond, I'll have more conversations. But I'll do my best in being here for Nick, for his viewers, and for whoever is going to listen to this, because I want to build that care and love and trust with my viewers. And on this idea of building a work-life balance, I coach a lot of CXOs and leaders out there, Nick, who are really struggling to maintain that balance. But the idea is, why are you even trying to build that balance? See, your life is 24 hours, and work will take some amount of it. So it'll never be a balance. You cannot balance these two things. But what you got to figure out is, how do you integrate the two things? So how do you create a work-life integration that allows you to live a life that's full of joy, that allows you to create impact on the life that you want to build? So that's something that I really feel that we need to shift our perspective on, move from the work-life balance to more of a work-life integration.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Integrate it into your life. Don't try to have work-life balance. Just make it the norm. Schedule the time for work, and then schedule the time for your family life and all that. Your personal life. It's very, very important.
Absolutely. And the internet in our conversation is acting up a little, Nick. And then I've seen viewers be like, what the hell is happening? What is wrong with your internet? But imagine then in this day and age, here's Nick sitting in another continent, and here's Utkash sitting in one continent, and technology is allowing us to come together and connect with each other and connect with our audience.
Yep.
So I think it's just a blessing. So for those who are feeling impatient because of the internet in any way, they should just take a deep breath. Maybe this is your moment to pause and then wait for the rest of the conversation.
Yep. It's funny because I was just going to talk about that because I was like, well, we're cutting out a little bit. I'm losing you, but we're going to make it through because
Yes.
the conversation is more important than us maybe having a couple seconds where we're not talking. That's okay with me because I know that me and you have the patience and we can work through it. So yeah,
Powerful.
We can't control the internet. Right now it's being a little slow, but we're just gonna keep on rolling. I love. So, what's like your number one tip for your clients?
Yeah. The number one tip, and I speak about this. So I have a book, Nick, that if folks want to buy, they can go. It's a Ignite Life journal, and it has about 183 pages of questions, reflections, exercises, inspiration that can help them craft and build a life that they can be proud of. And one thing I share here, Nick, is that in life we need a 2% rule, and what I mean by that is that I'm going to ask you a difficult question, and all our viewers, so people can get their calculators out. What is 2% of 24 hours? And it takes a few minutes, but I can give you the answer because I'm very loving to the audience. 2% of 24 hours is about 28 minutes. And so what I urge and nudge my coaches and people I work with, and then whoever is listening to me, is that find 28 minutes in your day. It's just 2%. It's not something that's monumental, but start spending that time on sharpening your own axe. Start spending that time on becoming more self-aware. Start spending that time on reflecting as to who you are and who you want to be in the future. And then you got this. Because if you don't spend that time reflecting on yourself, reflecting on what actions are you taking, how you want to be in life, then you're just living a life that's in a state of flow. But sometimes maybe you have to go against the flow. Sometimes you have to go, instead of going down the flow, you have to go up against the flow. And so find that 28 minutes, find that 2% for yourself to really think about what the hell am I building? Why am I doing what I'm doing? You could be an entrepreneur. You could be doing a 9-to-5 job. You could be at a grocery store. You could be doing sports, anything. But find that time for yourself and ask yourself, am I really joyful and happy in what I'm doing today? And is this something that I want to continue for the rest of my life? If the answer every day is yes, go for it. Kill it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But if the answer comes out to be like a no for a few days, for a few weeks, then it's time to change, and it's time to maybe find Nick or Utkarsh and help you get to that 10x.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I'm gonna use that if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Because that's something that I can really relate to myself. It's only 2% of your day. 28 minutes. Take 28 minutes for yourself. And do something, where you learn something or you meditate, exercise, just make sure you take 2% of your day at least for yourself.
Yeah.
And like for me, I have a whole morning routine, and that's my time for myself right away in the morning. And that takes about an hour and a half for me to do. So yeah, I know the importance of taking time for yourself.
Amazing. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And the other thing, that there's a quote on my LinkedIn. So if people want to connect, the LinkedIn is a great place. Where it's a quote by Mahatma Gandhi, and what he says is that live as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn as if you were to live forever. And I think that's really, really deep, because what it's really asking you to do is that we try and accumulate all these material possessions, and there's nothing wrong with a BMW or a Porsche or a Rolex watch or the latest iPhone 99 that you want to buy. There's nothing wrong with it. But ask yourself, do I really need it? Or is it a want to show off to others? And if you want
Exactly.
it because you've earned it, go ahead and splurge on it. It's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
perfect. But if it's doing for the others, then pause and reflect. And the second
Mm-hmm.
idea, that learn so much, that there should be like joy in learning, that I want to get better
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, I'm going to get better next week. And you do that only by learning. You know, I've been talking about having two boys, Nick. So the elder one is 13. And if I were to go back 13 years when maybe he was starting to walk, he fell a few hundred times when he was trying to walk, right? But
Mm-hmm.
never did we as parents tell him, like, what the hell, man? You don't know how to walk? You're falling like 20 times? Why don't you stop walking? Why don't you just lie down on the bed and never try and walk again? No parent would say
Mm-hmm.
that to a child, right? And so why do we
No.
stop ourselves from learning and growing and doing something new? Yes, you will fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you will falter. That's okay. Go ahead, get back up again and go for it.
Yep, I agree 100%. And it's I love that you used that, the walking, because like for me, the doctors told my parents that I would never walk,
Yeah.
and I fell. I still fall. So but it's you can fall as many times, but all that matters is that you get back up and you keep on trying.
Yeah.
And that's how I live my life.
Yeah.
Like, just keep on trying no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't like to say I can't. Instead, I say how can I, and that really leaves the door open, and it gives me a chance to problem solve and figure out how can I do this task. But if I were to say, oh, I can't do that, that's it, done.
End of story.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I say, how can I?
Yeah.
And now it's a question.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, you're doing something very powerful, Nick. And in my past life, I used to be a physical therapist, and I used to work with the I used to work mostly with the orthopedic conditions. But my partner, my wife, is an occupational therapist, and so she deals a lot of cases of cerebral palsy and ADHD and autism. And I keep asking her, like, what motivates you to keep going on this path, because it's a challenging field of work, because you're trying to help someone live a better life. And that's what she comes back to me with,
Yeah.
Utkash, that you're helping people shift their mindsets. I'm helping people realize their highest potential with the abilities that they've been given. And so what you're doing, Nick, is powerful, because here you are. The first time you would be on the video, there'll be folks who would start judging you. Like, what the hell, Nick? You're stuttering. You're pausing. Why are you recording a podcast? Can you not do something else? But here you are, breaking all those barriers because you believe in your infinite abilities. And that's what the
Yep.
podcast is called. So I salute you, my friend. I really appreciate
Thank you.
you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And I used to care about people judging me. I used to care a lot. I used to care so much that I didn't like going out in public because people stare. And what I realized is a lot of times what I was thinking that they were thinking, how they would judge me, was way worse than anybody would ever judge someone. We all criticize ourselves a lot more than other people criticize us. So once I learned how to just let it go and just brush it off, not let it bother me, like my world opened up, because like it was like now I'm free. I can be myself.
Yeah.
I can do the things that make my life easier in public, and not care that somebody's looking at me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
so beautiful.
that's awesome.
So beautiful.
Thank
As a
you.
coach, Nick, I ask people a lot of questions to help them go deeper into what they've been able to achieve and what they can achieve through that. So if you don't mind, can I ask you what allowed you to move from that space where you were stopping yourself because others were judging you, to then shifting it to this new identity that, what the hell, I'm not going to care about it? What helped you make that shift?
So so let me start from where it all began. So in 2019, I lost my dad. And my dad was my biggest supporter. He was the one that, made me who I am because he taught me everything. He pushed me to make sure that I could do things on my own and not have to rely on somebody else. Now, as a kid, I didn't like that very much, because he was always making me work. I lived on a farm. I had chores, but now looking back, like, I'm super thankful for him.
Yeah.
So he's, my number one hero. My dad is just my hero.
Yeah.
He always will be, even though he's gone.
Yeah.
He's still here with me. And after I lost my dad, it was about a year later. So now we're in 2020, 2021. And it all kind of hit me hard. Like, I think for the first year, I was just holding it all down and not really coping because I wanted to be strong for my mom and my sister. Well, then it was my turn, and I just went into a deep depression. I almost committed suicide, and I realized, like, something needs to change, otherwise I'm not going to be here anymore. And I have been following Grant Cardone basically since my dad was, towards the end of his life is when I found Grant. So I feel like my dad, like, introduced Grant to my life as like a mentor for after he was gone.
Got it.
So through me finding Grant Cardone and just watching videos on YouTube and Facebook and whatnot, I found a podcast called The Mindset Mentor by Rob Dyle. And that's what changed my life, is that podcast.
Yeah.
Because he's excellent at teaching you how to improve your mindset.
Yeah.
And it all starts with you. Yeah. Everything happens because of you. Yeah. Nothing happens to you. It happens because of you. So once I, accepted that reality, then I was able to look at the world a lot different and go, okay.
Yeah, love that.
I was put here with cerebral palsy for a reason. Yeah. Now let's go find that reason. And I did, because about 6 months to a year after I found that podcast and started to turn my life around, I hired a coach, and then my coach taught me about becoming a coach myself.
Beautiful.
And that's basically how it all happened. But
amazing.
It wasn't one thing that happened.
Yeah.
This was at least a year.
Yeah.
And I'm still improving. Self-development is not something that you have like an end goal with. It's just for the rest of my life, I'm going to keep on getting better.
Yeah.
So
love that.
That's how it happened, and it saved my life.
Yeah.
And I'm super thankful for the journey I'm on.
I'm glad because if it would not have happened, then you and I would not have been having this beautiful conversation. So thank you for that vulnerability and sharing what you shared, Nick. And as you're saying, it's just an endless journey. There's no like that you reach like a milestone and then you can sit and like relax and chill for the rest of your life, because it's an ongoing beautiful journey and you go for it. That's what I think we all need to learn and understand. I love that part. And then hiring a coach, I think you and I both are from that world, but we as coaches can say that it's important to have a coach, but we are saying this from personal experience because we have had coaches who have changed our lives. So we should absolutely find a way to do that. And then the third thing, you just don't know when your life can change. So just give it that moment, give it that. And I always tell this, Nick, that we're always at the precipice, just right there, that the next moment that will happen to us will be the best moment of our life. And so So we got to give ourselves as many moments as we can to wait for that moment when everything will change and become even more beautiful than we could have ever imagined. So love that. Thank you for sharing, my friend.
Yeah, of course. And I love seeing how things work out. You know, there's a quote my grandpa has said my whole life, and I actually have it on my wall. I look at it every day. It's right in front of me. And it says, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And it does.
Love that.
And that podcast, The Mindset Mentor, that changed my life, just about a year ago now, I had the opportunity to be coached by him, Rob Dyle himself. And I took the opportunity, and I was able to talk to my mentor, myself.
Yeah.
You know, because he is my mentor. He's my number one mentor. And just to have that opportunity a couple of years after I found him, and the guy that basically saved my life, you know, that's just incredible.
Absolutely.
How everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
And the world just, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you. So my slogan is, your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that idea of infinity, that's very close to our heart, Nick. So I started an organization called Ignited Neurons, and what we do through that organization is we help managers become future leaders. So that's like a B2B arm of our business. We work with clients across the world, and the idea that we are presenting there is that think of yourself as the infinity symbol. And on one side is your personal life, which is absolutely critical, and then on the other side is your professional life. And right in the middle, where the two rounds intersect on that infinity sign, that's where you stand. You as an individual, you as a team, and you as an organization. And the infinite possibilities that are around you, you have to be aware and you have to be able to capture those infinite possibilities. And it starts from you. The more you work on yourself, the more you'll be able to work on your people, the more you'll be able to work on the culture of the organization, and the better you will be able to do for the rest of the world. So this idea of infinity, of infinite abilities, it's very close to my heart and soul. And that's something that I've done through my life as well, as a really practical expression of it, Nick, that I started as a physical therapist back home in India. I had 3 clinics, thoroughly enjoying that process. But at some point I thought, like, I want to have like a broader impact on the planet. And so I sold off my physical therapy practice, and I met a Columbia Business School professor, built a startup with him over the next 8 years. And then when 2020, the pandemic came, I realized that life is too short. And if you want to invest yourself into something, why not invest in building yourself and building your brand and building your organization? And that's when I became the entrepreneur again. And now I coach people and create content, and the possibilities are infinite. There's no end to it. So I strongly resonate with that slogan and message.
I love it. That was beautiful, amazing. So how can people reach out to you and find you and work with you?
Beautiful. So people can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's the best place. That's where I'm most active. But we have handles on Instagram as well. But I highly recommend, if they can invest, this book is, I think, in the US, it's about $30. And I think if they can invest $30 into becoming a best version of themselves, then they should go to Amazon.com and purchase it right now, because it'll be a trigger point. It'll be an initiation of this journey into personal growth for them. And I think it's a journey worth taking. Wherever you are, you're a person who's making a beautiful home, you're in construction, you're in education, you're in technology, you're just maybe like a 25-year-old trying to figure what the hell this life is about. Go for it, and I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's connect and have some beautiful conversations.
Awesome. And I'll put all your links in the show notes and a link to your book.
Beautiful.
So awesome. Thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and yeah, look forward to many more. And wishing you the best as you find your infinite abilities, my friend, and touch lives across the world.
You too. Thank you. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.